we're going to write some code that constructs a two-dimensional array of integers. So to start, we're going to have this two-dimensional array of integers called table. It's going to be equal to a new int where we have 5 rows and 10 columns. We want to fill the array with a multiplication table. So the array elements are like I times j, and it contains the value I times j. So that means that essentially the column, or the row, this first one is the row times the column is going to be what's stored in the current index. So to do this, we are going to make a for loop where we make a integer value called row, and we run it as long as row is less than our table dot length, or we could just say 5 here, and then we could do row plus plus. We can end this. Now inside of our next part, the nested for loop, we are going to be looking at the columns. So this is for the outside and this is for the interior. So we'll have 4, and then we'll do int column is equal to 0, and we want to run this as long as column is less than, and we'll do table at the column starting at 0 dot length. So that's going to get the length of all the columns in our row, and then we want to just increment column at the end so we can eventually break out of this. So now we're going to be inside of this for loop, and in this for loop we are going to have this I and j, which is the equivalent to our row and column here. So we'll do table where we have our row and where we have our column, and it's being decided by this outer for loop and then this inner for loop, and we'll set it equal to row times column. Then we can end this, and then we can end our nested for loop. Then we can press submit, and we should be able to pass 1 out of 1 test. So that is how we would solve for this self-check exercise, where we write our code constructing a two-dimensional array of integers with 5 rows, 10 columns, and then we fill the array with this multiplication table. And this happens inside of this for loop.